Bane Ryuko. I know some coming in, I'm like, gotta give him a pro.
How do you get into voice acting?
Yeah. I think the goal is to first become an actor, so take as many classes as you can in whatever way you can, and not just like, I'm only going to take voice classes because I only want to be a voice actor. Take cold reading classes, take film classes, take, singing classes, improv classes, like whatever you can do, because it's really hard to be a working actor because everything's so competitive, so the more things that you're able to do to pay for your life so you can be ready for an audition, the better.
And it's basically, I just want to stress that like you would treat it like any other career and job that you would want to pursue. So just in general, whether or not you want to be a lawyer or a doctor or whatever, you're gonna need education, schooling, and that could be going to college for it, or it could be taking workshops and classes, You're going to need like experience. You're going to need, and in addition to the talent and the skills, the other things that you need to be is you need to be professional and friendly and accountable, And so those are a lot of things, a lot of times people overlook that because they think, hey, it's a fun job, you can do whatever you want. And I am a firm believer that no matter how successful you are, no matter how popular you are, you still have to be professional and friendly and nice, because there are a lot of actors out there, and it's a fickle business. People might love you one year, and then the next year you might have a really hard time getting booked. So always be grateful and always work hard and always be nice, because the one thing that people do love is they love to work with people that make them happy and make their jobs easier. They don't want to work with assholes, even if the asshole's really talented. Do you know what I mean? Because it makes the whole experience a pain. And really, why do it unless, if you're not having a good time, why would you put yourself through that?
And no matter how many classes that you take, you're never done.
I mean, I go to class. I still take class. I have a class every Wednesday night. So anytime somebody books me, I am not available Wednesday afternoon because I drive, it's not that far, it's just in Culver City, but during the end of the day, it takes sometimes an hour and a half to get there.
Corridor.
And that class, I get out at sometimes after midnight. I don't get home till 1. And that means I have to find a scene with my scene partner, work on the scene, do the other stuff. I recently also started studying private scene study classes with another acting coach, I am always learning. I just finished reading a book on acting, and I'm about to starting another book on acting because that's how serious I am about my work.
Well, the business is constantly changing too. I mean, I have worked with people that are very well known on YouTube, and it's amazing that a few years ago they would not have been able to make a living off of YouTube, and now they're able to create their own content. They don't need a studio to do it, or certainly it's easier if you're working for NBC or ABC or something like that. But you don't need somebody to do that. You can make a great living creating your own content and doing all of that, which is amazing. And that was not the case a few years ago. Netflix was not a studio that was producing content, nor was Amazon. So it's always changing, and I think you always have to be willing to adapt.
I definitely think, on top of what everybody else said, because I was a theater major, but I don't think you necessarily need it. The degree is not so much as important as the training. I think for me, it gave me the confidence and obviously the skills. But they don't go, you have a bachelor's degree, I'll give you voiceover roles. But that being said, the training is what's important. So whether you get that after college or you don't go to college, but you take classes, don't think you're above classes, because Stephanie's been doing this for a while, and she's still taking classes, so she's still improving herself. There's no excuse for you to be I don't need classes. Hair flip. But also, I actually think improv is very, very helpful because, especially in video games, a lot of times you don't get the context. or like you might get a vague context, but like you don't get the script ahead of time. You don't get to practice with it. So a lot of times you don't even know who you're gonna play sometimes until you go into the room. They're like, okay, so today you're a boy unicorn, about 7 years old. Your mother was kidnapped by a dragon and blah, 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 blah. And then like they're just gonna give you like a vague thing and then you just go. And so you have to be able to just create worlds and flesh all that out.
And a lot of that is just being committed and making a choice and doing it, because you could be like really great and come up with a lot of stuff, but when someone throws you something like that unexpected, if you go, oh, okay, wait, what is that? Like, what do you want? Is it like, oh, do you want to do, like, okay, immediately everyone's like, because they just want you to do something. And if they hear it and it's not right, they'll be like, no, a little raspier. No, you know, like a little bit more confident boy. You know, there's no time. Time is money. There's no time for like, you know, recently I was in a group report session for a movie, and some of the girls were kind of new, and it was like, there was a lot of reactions, you know, like falling down an elevator shaft. And it's like, okay, your turn. And it's like, oh, like, wait, what does that sound like? You know what I mean? Like, so, and it's just because it's not that they're not talented or that they couldn't do it, it's the confidence, you know? And so you have to, improv is great because you're totally thrown on your feet, or like, sometimes you get called in and you're like, oh, blah, blah, blah. They're like, all right, okay, so we have some extra stuff for you to do, and can you do a German girl? And so this is why you should always be having stuff you can put in your pocket, and you know, because and sometimes it's just stuff you don't do, you know, like I cannot whistle, I just can't, I can't whistle, and so I'm just honest, I'm like, I can't whistle. No, don't whistle. It makes me, sorry, this is also another weird thing about me, is that when my mom potty trained me, she used to whistle, so now like if people whistle, it makes me want to pee. So it's not, yeah, is that a weird, did anyone else's parents whistle when they potty trained you?
No. My dog
did that. It was like she would sit down and she would just like whistle, like she'd like, maybe somehow, subconsciously, that's why I can't whistle. But yeah,
maybe you just have a
because
whistle.
they don't like it. Anyways, I don't remember what I was saying.
Whistling and
Oh, I really liked your guys' thoughts. I was just listening and taking it all in. But yeah, I really agree about being confident in making choices.
They're never gonna say like, I don't think I've ever had anyone say that was a really bad choice.
Yeah.
They might laugh and go like, that was funny, it's not gonna work. And then they'll direct you, but they're just happy that you made a choice.
Yeah.
I've had some directors
Say that was a bad choice, really?
not that it was a bad choice, they're like, can you do that again, but better?
Were they joking?
Yeah, well, a lot of
Joking,
people
right?
say that in like a sarcastic way. Or I'll say that and I'll say like, I'm gonna try that again, but I'm gonna suck less.
Possibly. I didn't know the directors very well at that time. So, somebody's in trouble.
No, we have 10 more minutes.
Okay. The question you asked, though, was originally, how do you get into it, though, right? Because I guess I got into it, I was a theater major, I took classes with like Tony Oliver and Crispin Freeman, and like I took classes with people who are doing the work and, you know, can give you insights into it, and Tony kind of became like my mentor, and he helped me with a lot of stuff, you know, just opening doors and stuff. And I think that's the thing, is you need to, you know, it's before you network and before you try to like be like, listen to my demo, you have to like make sure that you're really solid at what you do, because nobody's going to want to stick their neck out for you if you're just kind of meh. Because like they said, there's so many actors, especially in Los Angeles, there are so many actors who are like vying for jobs and are unemployed. So it's like actors are a dime a dozen, so you need to be able to stand out and also be patient, because there's so many actors. It's going to take a while to get noticed. It took me 3 years to get a voiceover agent to even meet with me, even though I was working pretty consistently. So just
Also, you only get one chance to make a first impression. So when you walk into a studio for the first time, or if you get your first audition, or if you're giving somebody your demo, if you're not up to snuff, they'll be like, oh, no. But then the bad thing is they might remember you. And if your name comes up, then, oh, came in to write for something not really good. Because we all talk, VO is very different from on-camera acting. It's a huge community. We try to support each other. We say like, oh, do you know this person? She's great, bring her in, even though we're in competition, because they truly believe that like the best people get the job. So you really want to be at the best that you can be. And I think being a fan is great. I started out as a fan, but you have to kind of curb your enthusiasm sometimes, because if you're acting a little bit too excited, it can be off-putting depending on who you're meeting. And they actually might not take you as seriously. They might just think, oh, well, that person's not serious about acting. They're just a fan, So those are some things that I would consider. I'm trying to think what else.
Well, I think the other thing that I would say is, because I started as a kid, so like Bryce and I have talked about that in panels. His dad was an actor. I started acting when I was 5, voice acting when I was 7. So I don't really know how to get into the business as an adult, because although I have had to like go through reinvention processes, like when I turned 16, suddenly my child credits didn't matter anymore. When I moved out to LA, I had to start all over again that way. But I always had an agent that kind of did some of the work, or I had worked on other things and made contacts with other people. But I would say that sometimes I'll get to the point where I'll be like, I need to be my best, and I'm a perfectionist, and I'll go into an audition that if I don't feel like I did my best, or I'm not doing my best and I get into my head, I can trip myself up. So I think the best thing to do is like, aim to do your best, prepare as much as you can, and then once you get into the room, just be in the moment, listen to what they're saying, take the direction, like she said, be a pleasant person to be around. Because if you're a pleasant person to be around and they can see that you have training and that you're willing to work hard and you take direction and you listen to them, they'll be willing, like, oh, maybe they were just nervous, I'll give them another shot. But if you come in and you're like really cocky, don't know what you're doing, they're like, that was fun, not gonna do that again.
Okay, we're like cutting really close. It is 7 minutes, not that close. Questions?
Yeah, this is directed to Kristen and Amanda. What was your first experience at a con, and how did you react to the fans and the world of anime conventions?
My first con as a guest, or as just like a fan?
As like a guest, as like a panelist.
So to say, my first con just as a fan was in college, and I remember at first I'm like, this is overwhelming, what nerds? And I was like, but I'm here, and I'm loving it, and I'm one of these nerds. I can't be like a hipster nerd, where I'm like, I'm a nerd, but I'm not like one of you. Because then I would go back every year, and I'm like, this is awesome. So my first ones were Otakon, because I lived in Maryland.
Do you remember what year it was?
2010? No, maybe it was 2008. Around that time. I remember I was there, I was sitting in the Otakon, they had a Sailor Moon like 20th anniversary panel, so maybe it was 2012, I don't know, but there was a 20th anniversary panel where they were talking about how they're going to make Sailor Moon Crystal, and I remember sitting there as a fan, this was before I moved out to LA, and I'm like, that's going to be so cool, and like now I'm in it, so that's kind of cool. But my first time as a guest was, I guess, Miami Hurricane, and it was it was cool because it was like my first hurricane, like hurricane.
Yeah, get it?
No, I get it. Like, I'm terrified that there's actually going to be a hurricane
During Hurricane?
I grew up in Florida, so for me, I'm like, yeah, thunderstorms.
Isn't there always a hurricane in Florida?
Yeah,
That's where they...
There's plenty of hurricanes there. I don't know. I've always been fine
like, during
through the hurricanes.
That'd be terrifying.
But I remember it was kind of awkward. I learned to be very humble at my first con, because I'm like, oh, cool, they're flying me out. This is so cool. And then I was sitting there, I'm like, nobody knows who I am. What am I doing? So it's like, you learn to like appreciate the people who do show up. And like, you're like, I don't know, it's cool. I was like honored that anybody would show up at all. And I kind of did a similar thing to this, where I just rambled for like an hour, but we had a pretty good time.
It's fun, don't worry.
Yay!
My first convention ever was Anime Expo 2000. Yeah, and I went almost consistently every year to AX, and it's cool because this year I get to be a guest of honor at Anime Expo, so it's really exciting. The first convention I got to go as a guest was KatsuCon, I think 2009. And I don't remember too much about it, but I brought my mom. I was pretty young back then, and she was more like in awe because I had been going to Anime Expo, but she told me, this is like that scene in Star Wars where they're at the canteen.
That music is playing.
Yeah.
That might be the most appropriate.
My first con was AX as well.
Yeah.
98. And I was there as a fan. It's AX and I have a very long relationship. I started as an attendee, as a fan attendee. Then I was a volunteer for a few years. And then I've gone as industry, because I was industry before I was a voice actor. And then now I go as a guest.
I never knew you were a fan before you did that.
Oh, yeah. In 98, so 98, me and my friends went. And then 99, we cosplayed as a Rurouni Kenshin group. And at that time, I was in the South. At that time, my friend Shizuki, she was the one who convinced us to do it. But back then, nobody was cosplaying at conventions. So she's like, no, you gotta cosplay. She's like, no, it's what they do in Japan. It's really cool, blah, blah, blah. So we spent all night sewing. We had our friends who were guys who, we forced them to be Shinsengumi. So it was like a sweatshop in her house. There was 4 sewing machines, and I couldn't sew, so I hot glue gunned everything together. And then, in the beginning, we got there, and it was like standing around, and it felt really awkward, and we're like, Shiz, are you sure that this is what people do? She's like, no, it's cool, trust me. And then people started asking to take our pictures, and back then it was such a different thing that they're like, can we take your picture? And literally we'd be like, why? And then, okay. So, and it was, in the first 10 people, we were still really awkward. And then by the end of the convention, we're posing, sure, yeah, it was now it's expected, even if it's your first cosplay, you would expect people to take pictures of you, and half the people are cosplaying. Before it was when we did it was barely anybody. It was very strange. And then I did a big Sonotron anti-kissing wheel one year, and made out of balsa wood, and I did not really think it through because all my friends were this far away from me, and then when I went to the dealer's room, I couldn't get close enough to the table to buy anything. Everyone was pissed at me because knocking them around. It was awesome.
I had an old boyfriend who tried to get into as many photos as possible by being a generic samurai, and so he just relished, and people were like, oh my god, you're this character. He's like, yup. And so he's pictures of him posing as all these different random generic samurai.
When I was in college, my roommate at the time was like, hey Christina, let's go to Anime Expo, and I want us to dress up as Princess Sailor Scouts, and you can be Sailor Mars, and I'll be Sailor Mercury. I was like, okay, sure. That was really cool.
What was your princess outfit?
It was, they have ball gowns that they wear. So there are pictures of me online, as Sailor Mars.
These photos exist of Stephanie and
there is a picture of the anti-kissing wheel, I think. Oh no, is it anti-kissing? I had 2 Sonotron costumes. One was the anti-kissing wheel, and then after I took the wheel off, there is, I don't know if you remember the episode, if you watch it, there's her in sweatpants, and the skirt is over it, and it's ripped. It's it's in the same episode after, and then I have a t-shirt, and it says child on it, and my hair is like this, and I have the rubber hammer.
Kodocha.
Yeah, Kodocha. Kodomo no mocha, yeah.
Sounds like Sana.
And then we actually made Babito pins. Out of foam, we cut them out and we glue them together. Anyways, whatever. We are actually out of time. So, thank you all for coming.